Hey everyone, in this video, I want to take you through the steps that I go through when I'm thinking about parsing PDFs in Pydantic AI. So the first thing I need to do is set up UV, and then I will add Pydantic AI. So I need to import a couple of things from Pydantic AI. So the first will be agent. So that's obviously how you connect to the model and pass the prompt and everything. And then also binary content. So binary content will allow me to pass this PDF data over to the agent. And then also I'm going to import this OpenAI responses model. So OpenAI responses model. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm using OpenAI and this is the best way to connect to it. So let me go ahead and create my agent. And the instructions that I'm going to add for this agent are going to be really simple, and I'll explain more why, but the idea is you can change this. So we can start off by keeping it simple. So I'll say read the provided bank statement. Okay. So I have this bank statement.pdf over here in my directory. So I'll open it. So I'll say with open and then bank-statement.pdf. This is in read mode and it's also a binary file. So RB as the mode, and I'll just say as file. And then I will start all the OpenAI stuff. So model is going to be equal to OpenAI responses model. And then for this, I'm going to use GPT-5.4-mini. And then this is the 2026 March 17th version. And the reason why I instantiate that here is so I can pass it to the agent, right? So I'm going to get some results from running the agent, and I'll do agent.runSync, and I need to pass in the content of the PDF. So that's where this binary content comes into play. So we have binary content, and then I'll do file.read. So this takes the binary data, injects it into this binary content, which is being passed to runSync. And this binary content also has a parameter for the media type. So after file.read as the first argument, I'm going to pass in media type as the second, and you can just pass in the MIME type. So for this is going to be application/PDF. And then after that, I just need the model. So model equals model here. And then I'm going to print out the output. So results.output. And now I should be able to run the script. So uv run script.py. And it just takes a second, but then it gets the data from the PDF, right? So we see it's able to get all this information. And by the way, this is what the PDF looks like. We see Sarah J. Mitchell is the account holder, $7,174 is the ending balance. Then we see all these transactions. So this is the PDF that it's reading, and we see the same data here. So 7,174 and so on. So as we can see, this is just text, but it was able to successfully read everything. So the next thing that I have to think about is how do I get this to be structured data so I can use it in the rest of my script or my app or whatever, because having it as text output isn't very useful because the user can just read the text. So what I want to do now is I want to import from Pydantic the base model and field classes. And the reason why is because this allows me to create models, Pydantic models, that will be used as the shape of the output. So this agent will force the output to be whatever shape of the models that I define here. So let me go ahead and define them. So for one, I'll call this transaction, and it inherits from base model. And I'm going to have three things in this transaction. So the description of the transaction, the amounts, and then the date of the transaction. And I'll use transaction date because I'll be importing date from Python and I don't want it to collide with the name. So let me go ahead and import that here. So from datetime, import date. And the reason why is because these attributes use type hints to determine the type of the field. So date is going to be the type for transaction date. Float will be the type for amount, and stir will be the type for description. And then I can add fields that have descriptions that basically give the AI more context on what this means. So we'll say description of the transaction, and then I'll just copy this. Amount of the transaction, Let me fix the spelling there. And then the date of the transaction. Okay, so that covers one transaction, but a bank statement can have multiple transactions. So let me go ahead and create another class called transactions plural. This also inherits from base model. And I'm going to have transactions, and the type is going to be a list of the first transaction that I defined up here. So it's going to be a list of these transactions. And then for the description, I'll put all the transactions in the statement. And then the other thing that I want is the statement date. So the statement date, there's just one for the entire statement. And then the field for this will say the statement date. All right, so to use this, I just take my agent here and I add an output type to it. And the output type is going to be transactions. So now when I run this, I'll get something different. So now we see this more structured data. So we see transactions equals and then a transaction object here with a beginning balance, amount, and so on. So we see that's not quite accurate, but that can be fixed with the prompt later. The point is we're having all the structured data appear here. And instead of just printing it out, what I can do is I can say for transaction in result.output.transactions. I can print out the transaction date. So transaction.date and the transaction.amount. And I spelled that right, but not this amount. So now when I run this, it's going to be in a different format, but it's just taking from the same data. So let's see that appear in the terminal here. So there's no attribute called date, but should have put transaction date. So let me run this again. And it will just take a moment. Okay, and now we see a bunch of dates along with the amounts for those dates. So one of the major things I like to do when dealing with things like this is I want to make sure that whatever data that I'm passing it is valid. So one way is in one of your models here, so the one that covers the entire statement, I can add an attribute called isBankStatement. And the idea here is it's going to be a Boolean. And the description is going to be like indicates if the document is a bank statement or not. And the reason why I like this is because if the AI looks at the PDF and it thinks it's not a bank statement, then it can just return false for this. And then I can completely skip over doing the rest of the things with this. So I can say something like, if not result.output.isBankStatement, I can just return none or raise an exception or whatever. We'll raise a value error. It really doesn't matter what happens here, but if this is a function, you can return out of it. If it's just a script like this, then you can keep it in line like this. But the idea is it won't try to read the transactions when you don't actually have a bank statement. And the reason why that's important is because if you're allowing the user to upload any file, for example, then what if they don't upload a bank statement? What if they upload something completely different? You don't want to try to process it. So that's one way of checking. Another way is if you're expecting bank statements, then you know that they're all going to have a beginning balance and an ending balance. And you can use those two values, and in addition to the sum of all the transactions, to figure out if the bank statement was read properly, right? So if you read the ending balance and you read the sum of all the transactions and they don't match, then you know that something went wrong reading it, and you can either try again or raise an error or just skip it, whatever you want to do. So for this, I can do like beginning balance, current balance. They're both going to be floats, both floats. And then the fields, I can say description, statement balance at the beginning of the statement period. And then I can do something very similar for the current balance at the end of the statement period, right? So let me just go ahead and run this. I'll comment that out, and then I'll print out the output again. So result.output, just so we can see what that looks like. So here we see beginning balance is 52.47, and then the current balance is 71.74. And just looking here, the current balance 71.74, the beginning balance 52.47. So it's looking like it read it properly. And then I have this code here to basically determine if the balance is correct. So we have beginning balance here. And then I think on this one, I named it current balance, but the idea is the same. So here we sum all of the transactions, and then we compare that. So transactions total. We take that, add it to the beginning balance, and then compare it to the current balance. And if they don't match, then you can raise an error, return none, whatever makes sense. So let's go ahead and see if this runs. So if this doesn't match, then it's going to return an exception, a value error. If it matches, then it's going to print out the output. So we see that I print out an exception. So let's go ahead and see which one it failed on. So let's print not a bank statement, which we know is not the case. And then we can say balance doesn't match. And then we can put in the expected balance with the other balance. So let's go ahead and run this to see what happens. And just know with AI, it is not going to be 100%. So sometimes you'll have an error where this returns the exception, and other times it will work just fine. So as we just see here, this is working just fine now, whereas the run before it didn't work. And I didn't change any of the code. I just added prints. And that's to be expected. And that gives you the opportunity to retry. So if you were to get an error like this where the balances didn't match, then you can retry and then potentially it will work again. And the nice thing about this is because there's data in the PDF that you can use to verify, this is more likely to be reliable when you try it multiple times. So what we see here on this run, we got two different values. So 12,422 and then 71.74. So we see sometimes it won't give us the right values. And the last thing I like to do is I like to update the instructions to make it more accurate. And the way that you check accuracy is you can do it by basically adding in instrumentation. So that's what it's called in Pydantic AI. So let me go ahead and add this here. And this instrumentation gets passed to the agent. So it gets passed as a capability. So capabilities is a list, and we pass in instrumentation. And what I'm doing is I'm using something called Phoenix to get this to work. And it's going to be on localhost 6006. And I just need to install everything to get Phoenix to work. So Phoenix is a tool that you can use to keep track of your requests over time. And it will obviously make more sense once I show it to you. So let me go ahead and open up another terminal here, and I'll do UV run Phoenix serve to start up Phoenix. And then I'll go back and I'll start up the script again. So we'll run the script, and then I'll open up localhost 6006. So this is what it looks like. And here is the run that I have. So it basically keeps track of all the AI calls that you run, and it saves it to a local database, a SQLite database. So here we can see read the provided bank statement. And then if I look at attributes here, we can see the data, the content of the PDF is being passed in. And then we see the result here, like what the AI returns. And then, of course, Pydantic AI will turn this into the structured data that we want. And the reason why I like this is because it allows me to better test the bank statement. And the way that I do that is I use Claude Code to create an app that allows me to easily look at the PDFs that I uploaded and give feedback. And then what I can do is I can adjust the instructions. So I have this simple prompt, create a Flask app so I can manually evaluate the results of my AI usage in this project. Make it a user-friendly page that shows the original PDF sent to the LLM. The prompt and the results allow the user to give feedback on the correctness of each run. The results of each AI run are stored in the Phoenix database. So I'm using this because I don't want to create this app myself. It will take a bit of time to do myself. And also because this app is not really important in the sense that it does anything well. It just needs to work. So I'll let Claude build this app for me, and I'll come back when it's done and I'll show you what the app looks like. Okay, so it's done now. It created this evaluation app. It looks like it's already running. So I can just go to localhost 5000. All right, so this is what it looks like. And the idea is you can review the PDF to make sure that everything looks okay. So we see here the original PDF on the left, and then on the right, we see all the individual transactions, and then we can add notes on whether or not this is correct. And then we have the prompt here. So the idea is we can change these prompts, and we'll have a history of all the runs along with the prompts and the output, so we can see which one works better. So we'll have like some data that tells us which prompt is the best to read PDFs in general, instead of just guessing and hoping that the prompt that we land on performs well. So this is just an easy tool to measure. I can click correct, and then it takes me to the next one. So that's what I think about when parsing PDFs using AI and Pydantic AI. There are more things I can do. I can add retries in here. I can add more checks. I can do more things to make sure that the PDF is what I want it to be. But I think this is a good example of the main things that I do when I'm parsing PDFs. So if you do something similar, let me know. Or if you do something completely different when you're working with PDFs with AI tools, let me know in the comments below. So thank you for watching this video, and I will talk to you next time.